Go ahead and take your live questions and go from there. So again, everybody, thank you for joining me on another FuelPak Friday. Let me make sure I've got everything working here. So I've got StreamYard on one side. So we're looking at YouTube, Facebook, and LinkedIn, I believe, as well as Instagram on this end. So we're going to do a bit of a joint show for everybody. And get rid of these sunglasses. And we're going to go ahead and answer your questions that you've asked earlier and sort of go from there. So right off the bat, let me go ahead and make sure that I'm good here. It looks like Instagram's having some tech issues, which is fun. Don't know why it's doing that. There we go. So we'll go ahead and wait for everybody to kind of get in. Go ahead and ask your questions, and we will get rolling. Again, for Instagram, since it just freaked out and we're all back now, this is Brian from Vance Hines, and thanks for joining me on another FuelPak Friday. We'll go ahead and start with your guys' questions that were live from the Instagram stories this morning. Again, for those of you tuning in from Facebook or YouTube, in the future, if you guys wanted to get a question answered onto the sheet, go ahead and go to the Instagram stories every Friday morning, and we will get you guys hooked up. So the first one is, do I get the benefit of the wideband O2 sensors with a stock ECM and the FP3? And the answer right now is no, you would not. So what ends up happening is the narrowband sensors are needed for the ECU to kind of work properly. So the narrowbands basically work in what's referred to as closed loop mode, which means that sensor data is going back into the ECU, and the automatic fuel trims are going to basically add or remove fuel as necessary for wherever you are in order to match that target AFR table. So if you have it in open loop, that essentially means that data even coming from the O2 sensors is not being used. So things like wide open throttle, anything above or outside of the cruising range or cruising RPM sort of falls into that category. So the answer is, for a wideband, you'd basically want to purchase that FP3 and pair that with a wideband kit, our FuelPak Pro, and then that would be used for tuning purposes, not necessarily left on the bike. So with the wideband kit, which I think I've got one over here. Yeah, hold on a second. Got parts stashed all over here. So FuelPak Pro, nice wideband tuning kit, basically allows you to go ahead and hook up everything you need. So you would use these Bosch 4.9 wideband sensors, and then you would plug that into your FuelPak Pro. So basically one end goes into the motorcycle, the other one end accepts your FP3, and then you've got your connector ports, short for the rear, long for the front, and then those would hook up into your wideband sensor. So your widebands basically just get plugged in here, click, lock, and then you do all your mapping with widebands. You can do that in the road, you can do it on a dyno, you can do it however you need to do it, depending on the capabilities of your shop or whether or not you're an end consumer. The FuelPak Pro does not marry itself to any one vehicle. It can be used over and over and over again. So if you run with like a hog chapter or a motorcycle club or anything like that, you can actually go ahead and buy one for the group. You can all share it. So you each need your own FP3, but the FuelPak Pro you can just use over and over again. And again, that would let you dyno tune essentially your bike out on the road, or again, you can do it in a dyno. We did create that tool for dyno tuners and dealerships. And then that would let you go ahead and map with widebands. You can put the narrowbands back in and just roll like normal. Keep those automatic fuel trims for your ECU, so that way the values can be trimmed up and down, and you can kind of go from there. So let me go ahead and scroll through Instagram, make sure I'm not missing any questions. Good morning, everybody. JMills509 asks question number 2 on my list here, which is, when will the FP3 be available for 2021 Harley models? In fact, it was almost worded identically. The answer right now is we are working on it. There's a lot more to getting into the 2021 models than there was last year with the 2020. With the 2020, we were able to get in a matter of weeks. 2021 is giving us a little bit more heartache, just taking a lot more work, to be honest. And so at this point, we don't have an ETA. Just know that we are working hard on it every single day. It's pretty much our main focus here in electronics, and we're crushing it. We're working on it, and we'll get there. Screw through. Saw me at Daytona Beach. You probably saw somebody at Daytona Beach, but I was not at Daytona Beach this year. I was there last year. Do hope to make it to Sturgis, though. So if you're in Sturgis, come see me. Nick Parshall on Facebook asks, I have a CFR megaphone slip-on. Got them used, have not installed them yet. Are these slip-ons good or bad for performance? It depends what you're looking for, to be honest. I know a number of people have been running those CFRs, and from what I understand, the performance is decent. They're more of a top-end performance rather than like a low-end grunt or a torquey kind of setup. And my understanding is that they sound pretty good. So they are pretty decent, I think, for performance. If you wanted to go something more performance-oriented, you could always swap it out to like a Vance Hines high output, and then that would give you the best of both worlds. It would give you sort of that like deep, grunty, sort of idle acceleration, sort of like aggressiveness. But idle and cruise is a little bit more mellow for helmets. And because of that, it's a rounder, deeper, sort of richer tone, but it still makes a lot of bottom end torque. So they're decent, but you could go with something better like the high output. And in a little bit here, for those of you who are sticking around, we're going to play a little game. Let me get to one more question first, and then we will give away some stuff. Raider Dad for Life says, hi, how do I get my cruise control to work with FP3? It's no longer working. So sometimes when you have an iOS device, this isn't really prevalent on Androids. You can basically inadvertently wipe out your system switches. It's a very, very rare intermittent bug. We haven't been able to trace the root cause of, so we haven't been able to fix it because it happens so infrequently. That being said, if you go to the View Edit Maps menu, open up the current map, the blue highlighted one. In the lower right-hand corner, you'll see a button that says More. Press that, and then select System Switches. It'll pop up at the bottom right-hand corner after you press More. And then in the upper right-hand corner, there's a reset switch. Go ahead and hit the reset switch. It'll toggle all of your system switches back to the OEM standards. Go back a page, hit the lightning bolt, and then that will re-enable cruise control. If your radio is being a little funky, it'll fix the radio. Essentially, it will go ahead and reset everything to stock so that all of your gauges and radios and cruise control functions as intended. Michael Godianda says, why would you need to dyno on the road? Why would you need to dyno on the road? So it depends. If you're doing something like installing camshafts, if you're installing a big bore kit, it's nice to have something like the FuelPak Pro to go ahead and tune the bike in with wideband sensors out on the road. You can always take it to a dyno shop who has a FuelPak Pro if you're a current or new FP3 user, and you could go that way. But the main idea is that it gives you the flexibility to pull real data from your motorcycle to build new volumetric efficiency tables, and to do so in a manner that anybody can do. It sort of works akin to auto-tune with the narrowband FP3s, but it uses wideband, it uses a new algorithm. We vary the current to and from the wideband sensors to maintain optimal mapping temperature of those sensors. So we do a little bit more than just like the normal auto-tune. But good question. Thank you, Michael, from Facebook. J Mills, FP3 2021, gotcha. Let's see. Mr. Monish says, do I need to remap an Indian Scout for changing to 4-inch slip-ons? We did offer, I should say, a FuelPak LCD for the 12 to, no, what was the year model range on that? I don't recall off the top of my head. It was discontinued. It didn't sell too many. But the LCD for Indian, I think you might be able to still find it out there, new old stock, either from a distributor or from like eBay. But generally, if I recall correctly, mapping did make a big difference on the Scouts. I don't think it was 100% necessary, but if it were me, I would absolutely do it. Diego 8891. We'll get to your question here in a moment. I just saw one pop up from Facebook. Devender, buddy, how you doing? How do you compare tuning between dyno machine and riding on roads? I would like to install a 110-inch SNS cycle power kit for my Fatboy 16. Please suggest. In India, I don't have a dyno run option. So the big thing in a dyno is I have an almost unlimited amount of wheel speed and engine speed control. I can set the drum to have a specific amount of brake loading. I can set it for step intervals, so I can basically say, look at my inductive pickup, read the RPM from my vehicle, and I want to move in, say, 250 or 500 RPM increments every X amount of seconds. So if I were to do, say, like a 20% TPS column in the, basically in a dyno, I can control it such that I can go ahead and I can fill up just this column, just the 20% column, everybody, 20%. And I can do so in a way that allows me to go up individually cell by cell. So I can set the dyno to basically say, hey, hold this cell for 5 seconds, hold any cell for 5 seconds at this specific RPM, and then I just roll up the RPM. So every 5 seconds, I would go from like 1500 RPM, 1750, 2000, 2250, 2500, 2750, etc. And it would allow me to fill that entire column's worth of data just by holding my wrist open at 20% throttle. Makes it super simple, super quick. And that's something you can't really do on a road. Now, to do it out on the road, about a third of our testing on the FuelPak Pro was done on the road. I spent a lot of time on the road with this thing because we understand that not everybody's going to have a dyno. And so because we spent that time on the road, I basically figured out that you can tune the bike in, but if you do it in the dyno, it's about half the time. If you do it on the road, it takes about double. So each auto-tune table, a full auto-tune table, getting like that level of detail in a dyno is less than 15 minutes. Record, I think I've done it in about 11 and a half to 12 minutes. That being said, if you were to do that on the road, you're looking at about a 30-minute run. You need about 2 or 3 of those to get it tuned in. And then once that's there, you can go ahead and take a look at it. But the idea is you'd want to basically make it so that the preview table, this preview table is going to look like this initially. A lot of red, adding a ton of fuel, making really good incremental changes, but it needs a bit more work because you don't want to ship it like that. It's making the 15% change and you're not there yet. So you can see as you do further auto-tune, further dyno sessions, it gets better and better. So by the third run, all of this is green, we're good to go. You can see we still added a lot of fuel at this particular range. And the big thing is like the shape of this chart, I can get in the dyno no problem. If you're looking to do it on the road, instead of having it have this extra block here, you would end up with like a little football shape. That football shape is about what you can expect to get out on the road. You can see it in our auto-tune tutorial about what like a normal map looks like out on the road. The big difference again is it's going to take you more time and you're not going to hit as many cells. So a dyno would be better, but it's absolutely 100% possible on the road. Devender, if you want to do that on the road, if you have a 110-inch kit, go ahead, shoot me an email, fppro@vancehines.com. You can also contact our customer support staff Monday through Friday, 8 to 5 Pacific Standard Time at help@vancehines.com, or you can talk to them on the phone or live chat online. Given the last 6 year VIN, after uploading the ECU contents of the current map, we covered this in a FP3 mapping tutorial, which I believe is both on IGTV and on YouTube that I created, and that'll kind of walk you through that process. Once that's been uploaded to the server, we can make the changes that are needed for your map. We can send it back, and then you can tune it with the FuelPak Pro. Dale, I see your question, but I had one over here from Diego. Said, is it normal to smell oil when your bike after adding an air filter? He's got an Iron 883. Mark says, hola, buenos dias. It can be, yeah. So basically what ends up happening is that high flow air cleaner is pulling more air in, which is creating a little bit different level of pressure going through your induction manifold. Now, because of that change in pressure, your engine dynamics is going to change. It's going to pressurize a little bit more. So more oil has the potential to come out those breather bolts back into your induction module. So what I would double check on yours is make sure that everything is sealed, make sure that you have a properly vented crankcase. And by that, I mean, when was the last time you took a look at, say, like your rocker breathers? You shouldn't really need it, but you know, if you have an older Sportster, those little umbrella valves do wear out after time, so you might need to pull your rockers and replace that. If it's a twin cam, you might need to actually replace the breather assembly. Don't replace just the foam and the little butterfly, the umbrella. I'm a bigger fan of just replacing it. It's $12 for the whole kit. It comes with the bottom plate, the top plate, everything you need to just swap the whole breather out, and then there's no guesswork. And I think they updated it towards the end of the twin cam lifespan, so it's a better deal for you, cheap cost-wise, and you get a bit of an upgrade out of it as well, which is kind of cool. But yeah, it's not uncommon to smell a little bit of oil. Make sure your oil level is proper. If your oil level is too high, that is definitely something that can happen. If you use too much oil on the Canon filter, that can also cause issues with oil smells and with oil coming out. So something to look at. Dale, real quick, buddy, I'm going to give you just a moment and I will answer your question, Dale, from YouTube. So we had a little kind of deal today. So if you guys want a Vance Hines trucker cap, go ahead and throw out what this baffle is. Give you guys a good look on Instagram and on YouTube. So landscape, portrait, landscape, portrait. Let me know what this baffle is, and then our social media coordinator will basically send a trucker cap to anybody who gets it right. I did happen to mention on a previous episode, it was sitting behind me, and I did happen to mention what it was. So little tip. Dale said, do I need to retune with the Canon factory replacement air filter and Samson fishtails with baffles? Yeah, dude, absolutely. Fishtails with baffles, fishtails without baffles are very large, long exhaust systems. Totally different dynamic than what came stock on the bike. So you'll absolutely have to map it. Now, the Canon filter, I'm hoping, is a high flow air filter with an open body, something similar to our something similar to this. So this is a blade in contrast. But the big thing is it's completely open all the way around. And this one actually has the filter media on the front. If it's a high flow air filter similar to this, then yeah, you're going to need to remap it. Even with just the fishtails, I would absolutely recommend remapping. But if you have something like this, if you don't get one, if you have just a drop-in filter for that OEM airbox, you're still going to be very restricted from an airflow standpoint. Get rid of it, get high flow. Doesn't necessarily have to be ours, but obviously I would prefer it was. So this is the VO2 blade. We also offer the X, the Naked, the Cage Fighter, and we offer it in an all black chrome, and this is the black contrast. Cage Fighter comes in black or stainless, and then the VO2 Naked would reutilize your OEM cover regardless of what system you have. If you have a touring model Milwaukee 8, there's two options. You can get the Naked and Round, which you can pair with our skull cap crown, which is what I did on my bike, or you can get the OEM Naked, which reutilizes that stock cover. So let's see, Chatch562 on Instagram says he's getting a lot of Decel pop on his standard map. Good, bad, something to worry about, suggestion. So it depends on the popping. A certain amount of popping, a little bit of burble is totally normal. I rode our street rod into the shop today, and there was a little bit of acceleration pop when I rode it earlier. I ended up having to set that bike to level 2 because it had a prototype version of this on there. There's only a handful of maps that we've run with it, and to me, that 0% TPS column needed to be richened up. To get rid of the popping, to me, it was a little bit too much. So I ran that bike on level 2 Firecracker. It's the same map we've used for a lot of the guys on the Street Rod forums and a couple of the hooligan racers around town. So cool map. Reminds me, if you have a street rod and you have a high flow air cleaner, contact us, fbpro@vancehines.com or help@vancehines.com. We can send you those maps because it's not something that is in our app because we never technically made that product, even though we developed it. Kind of figured no one wanted to buy a completely CNC billet Venturi kit for a street rod. Who's going to spend $500 to $600 on a CNC billet air cleaner for a $11,000 bike? So yeah, if it's excessive, use the Decel pop tool, set it to 1. You can go ahead and set it to 2 after the fact, and we can go from there, Touch. Facebook, Choo Plemic says, have an awesome setup on my 17 ultra limited VO air cleaner, power tools, crossover pipe, Illuminator 400s. Love the sound. Still running stock map off the FuelPak 3. Do you guys have anything better for a map? And no, I haven't run auto tune. Go ahead and just make sure you're running the one for the power tools Illuminator 400s. It's going to be the best map we have. It's going to be the map that we actually created with our 2017 Ultra. Our 2017 FLHT-K are limited in the dyno with that exact hardware. So it's one of those things that you're basically getting a dyno tuned map that we made with the FuelPak Pro, and you're getting it with the FP3 for free without having to go to the dyno tuner or deal with any of that stuff. So use the map that's in there and you should be good to go. Most people aren't going to need to run an auto tune, so you should be fine. Do I need to retune for Canon factory replacement air filter? Do those airflows count as high flow air filters? They do not count as high flow air filters. So those are akin to like just dropping a Canon filter into your car without going with something like a cold air intake or a high flow air box. It basically is a serviceable, lifetime serviceable. I think they're rated at what, like 100,000 miles filter. But the reality is you're not going to flow any more air. You're just getting that convenience of not having to toss your paper air filter every 10,000 or so miles. So if you need it, go ahead, get the full high flow air cleaner. Our whole VO2 line we offer for cable operated multi-fit bikes, the Sportsters, throttle by wire, Softails, throttle by wire touring models, anything and everything. So you should be good. Defender, yes, I would absolutely suggest a wideband for that 110-inch kit. We can get you kind of close with the base map that we have here, but in a perfect world, you would finish the tune out with a FuelPak Pro and the widebands. Scroll back over to Instagram. Can't wait for my new exhaust on my 2021 Rebel. Awesome. Glad you got that. Those sold out pretty fast from what I understand, talking to distributors. They went really, really quick. Mr. Monish, you should remap it. You probably don't have to remap your Indian Scout from changing stock to slip-ons, but I would highly recommend it. I believe you do change the dynamic of that exhaust enough to warrant mapping. Going on a long trip, says Solar Rider 310. Anything I should do on the FuelPak in order to prepare the bike? Not particularly, no. If you wanted to look at something like maintenance items, you could go into the main menu, select maintenance. You could actually set yourself a trip log, so you could wipe everything out and say, you know, if I just changed my oil, if I just did my tires, if I'm going on a long trip, you can actually log the miles from the trip in your FP3. So you can go ahead and set that up there in the maintenance menu. Go back to the live data or sensor data menu. Make sure you go to the odometer and hit the reset button. At that point, you can also take a look at the fuel economy. Go to that, hit the reset button there. So that way you'll get the breakdown of the mileage, how many miles you actually rode on your trip. Again, this is all if you have CAN bus. It doesn't work on J1850. It's just not part of the tuning strategy. So if you have a CAN bus bike, then make sure all that stuff's configured. You can take a look at everything, and it's pretty cool. Dale Decel says exhaust baffle. Sorry, buddy. Can you elaborate on that one? Choo-Choo says, awesome, thanks. Yeah, bud. That's what we're here for. Ironman883 said, what's the mail address for brand ambassador application? I said it last week, but I couldn't find it. It is sm@vanceandhines, all spelled out.com. So vanceandhines.com. So sm, social media, @vanceandhines.com. AJ Izzy from Facebook says he got a 14 Street Guy, it's D&D exhaust and big sucker intake. Use the FP3, but there's a lot of gurgling when I let off the throttle. Sorry, buddy. Still working on my morning coffee. So there's going to be a little bit of gurgle, especially on that particular exhaust, because it's very, very open. You can go ahead and change that if it's driving you crazy. If it's like popping and slightly backfiring, go to the map optimizations menu off of the main menu. You can also go to the view edit maps menu and go to the air fuel section. Go to Decel pop. Go ahead and set that to firecracker level 1 for light, and see if it goes away. If you want to get rid of it even further, set it to 2. If you want to get rid of it further, set it to level 3, which is heavy. 1 and 2 are kind of where you should be. I think on that particular pipe, I'd probably roll with 1. Again, that thing is really, really wide open. So that's probably why you're hearing a lot more of that deceleration, popping, and burbling from that exhaust there, AJ. Mr. Monish says, love Vance Hines. We love you. Again, if anybody can tell me what this baffle is, you will get a V&H trucker cap as a thank you for tuning in and saying hi, hanging out with us. Thanks for the insight. 2-in-1 Pro Pipe Competition baffle. Yeah, sucker's loud. Oh, Ironman883 got the answer right. I think we'll go ahead and get you one there, buddy. And our social media coordinator, Maddie, will get that out to you, get the information. We'll roll from there. Brandon Ladyman says, how much longer is the 2-to-1 upsweep for an 18 Softail going to be on back order? I do not know, to be honest. I'm not particularly, I keep bumping this, this lift. I'm sorry about that, shaking everything. I'm not really too involved with manufacturing. Usually if I get that kind of question, go ahead and shoot me an email, Brandon, fppro@vanceandhines.com. And I can find out for you. So I can talk to somebody in sales, manufacturing, get an idea as to when those are going to be coming down the pipeline and let you know. But I do know that those things back ordered real fast. We sold them and shipped them to distributors and they went real quick. Kanglebert says, can you make adjustments for high flow fuel injectors? Yes, we can. There is a table for the grams per second rating of the fuel injectors in the FP3 under the general menu. So it's the same place where you'd have like inch displacement. We also have injector size. So if you go from something like a 4.3 injector to a 5.3, we can do that. Did a T143 kit. I think it had like 6.3, 6.2 injectors, monsters. But yeah, we can absolutely accommodate for that. So no problems there. Another one from Instagram, Jedi89 says, when's the 131 coming out? Map. Hopefully soon. I know that it's being done at our Racing Development Center up in Indy. But right now, NHRA season is back on, and Jill had her first weekend at the Winter Nationals, entered the 200 mile per hour Denso Club, which is super cool, and she qualified #1. So really, really good. Awesome news. Congratulations, Angela, if you're watching. And tune in to the next race. Really excited this year. I'm super, super stoked for that new motor. But because of that, the same guys who are running the team and tuning the bikes and taking them to the track are the guys who would be making that 131 map for you guys through the FP Pro, FuelPak Pro into the FP3. So give it a little bit of time, and we'll see where we're at. Theo from YouTube says, Stage 2 Big Sucker Air Cleaner, Vance Hines, Slip-Ons, bike runs fantastic. Do I need to remap? If it's running fantastic, I would leave it alone. Stage 2, Stage 1, Big Sucker, I make a little bit of different flow, but the reality is we've tested a lot of different air cleaners here, from our VA2 Nakeds to some of our sister companies, Burley, Performance Machine, as well as some competitors' products, Big Sucker, Screaming Eagle, etc. And they don't really change the volumetric efficiency tables that drastically. It's about 1 and 2%, which is within the realm of the automatic fuel trims. So I wouldn't stress about it. It's running fantastic. Leave it alone, dude. Hetty Hollum says, still have blackout 2-to-1 for Sportster? I think so. I'm not 100% certain. If you go to vanceandhines.com, enter in the information for your model, your bike, so the year, the make, the model, see if the blackout 2-to-1's there. If it is and it's available, you should be able to look at the part number, look at the instructions, download all that stuff, and then order it from a local distributor or your favorite online retailer. If it's out of production, it'll say in big red letters under it, so it'll say blackout 2-to-1, and it'll say no longer in production. Big red letters if it is out. Off the top of my head, I don't recall. Jamie Labat says, I've currently got the heavy breather air intake, FB3, big radius for my breakout 118. I want to change the pipes to short shots. Can I just swap or need to retune? Big radius, short shots. There is a slight difference in those maps. If you've got the FP3, dude, what's stopping you? Just go ahead and remap it. Go ahead and put the short shots map in there and roll. It's a nice thing about having the FP3 is you can change that stuff. Joner says, I've got a question! Exclamation point. Dude, ask it. I'm just picking up whatever's being asked. John Creech says, quiet baffle for Eliminator 400? No, it's not a quiet baffle, John. You're on the right track, though. All right. DR Rocks Zaz is picking up Halo from Nova Scotia, Canada. Going to be picking up an Indian Chief Bobber. Any updates on a slip-on coming out? I believe the Chief Bobber, not yet. I was going to say the Scout Bobber, we do have a slip-on for, but the Chief Bobber, right now, I don't think we have anything planned for the new Chief. I will talk to my product development manager about it. I know it's a new bike. I know everyone's super excited about it. I've heard good things about it, but I don't know if anything is in the works. So I will talk to Tom, and I'm sure he's already aware of it, but I'm not sure if there's anything in the works. When's the new FuelPak coming for the Harley 2021? Dude, we're working on it. I absolutely love and need to have that thing out. I'm probably more anxious about it than you guys are, unless you've already bought it 2021, in which case then I'm sorry you're having to wait on me and the team. We are busting A on it to get it done as fast as humanly possible, and still maintain the standards that you guys are used to having from the FuelPak FP3. So goal is to be first to market, but not unless that means sacrificing quality. So give us a bit more time, and we'll get something to you as soon as humanly possible. C-Will1213 says, does high flow air intake on the Canon maps include Arlen S Velocity 65 air filter? Yes, it does. Sort of goes along with the same thing. So like a heavy breather, our VO290, Naked, Blade, X, all these things. Well, the power output does change because you can get more air through something like this than a Naked. The reality is the VE tables don't really change that much, so the same map would apply. Quick questions. Tip for the end of my V&H Stratoliner. I don't think we've got tips for those anymore, honestly. I would go ahead and double check with our customer support team. Again, help@vanceandhines.com. Give them the year, make, model, and the exhaust, and see what we got for you. Street Glide and YT said, why the FP3 goes so high in price? Pretty much because we had to. It's not the decision that we wanted to make, but it was one that unfortunately we had to make. Component cost went up, shipping costs went up, a lot of things changed last year. And so in order to keep producing it, and in order for our distributors and retailers to continue to make the profit they're used to getting from it, the price had to go up. And unfortunately, that's just the cost of doing business. Do I get the benefit of the wideband O2 sensors with stock ECM and FP3 and not? If you asked that earlier, I think I got you. If you need to, you can go back to the front part of the stream, and we can go ahead and get that because we are going to save this and post it back up to Instagram TV so you can watch it later. But the short version is that the FuelPak Pro is our wideband tuning kit, and it needs a FuelPak FP3 in order to work. Again, the FuelPak, what I get for plugging a wideband in and dragging it off the counter. So FuelPak Pro has a part that goes into the bike. FP3 gets plugged into here, and then your two widebands get plugged into the additional ports. So the FuelPak Pro is designed for tuning the bike with wideband sensors, but when you're done with it, when you're done tuning and collecting data and processing data and flashing your ECM, then you would take this off the bike and put your narrowband sensors back. Now these narrowband sensors, O2 sensors, go back onto the motorcycle so you can keep use of your automatic fuel trims, basically continue to function in the closed loop that the ECU is expecting to see. So closed loop basically means that you're collecting data from the O2 sensors front and rear, and your volumetric efficiency tables are being trimmed higher or lower as needed for your current riding environment. That means things like elevation, temperature, barometric pressure. You want to have your narrowbands in there so that they can do what they need to do. So as far as benefits, yes, there's a huge benefit to tuning with wideband. Is there a benefit to leaving them in? Not particularly. Jim Rogers says, it seems like the blade is best performance-wise. So yeah, this new filter is awesome. So instead of getting it just like here, you also get it from the front plate. So the blade, the X, and the cage fighter all run off the same back plate, and they all have that same filter. So all three of those are going to perform equally, and they're all pretty rad. The VO2 naked has less surface area, so it won't flow as much air, but the numbers are still decent on it. Just know that, the naked is cheaper, and at that cost, you're losing the cool cover, and you're going to lose out a little bit on performance. So with something like a blade or an X, you're getting a CNC billet machine cover. Same thing with a Rogue Air. This one's in contrast. We just started making these in full black, so if you don't like the contrast, you can get this thing totally murdered out, all black. It also comes in full chrome. And that is for the blade and the X. The Rogue does not come in a contrast cut. The Rogue Air comes in black or chrome. It is a textured black, just like the textured black on the all black version of this. And then the Cage Fighter only came in brushed stainless. It now comes in black with a laser engraved emblem. That one I like a lot. That one's really cool. Super lightweight, and it's cheap. It's like, God, $2 something, as opposed to this, which is like double. Sheriff ML Shafi says, I have a pair of Titan 450s black, 2 years old for 19 Street Glide Special. They're rusting quite a bit from the inside. Is this normal? Is there any solution? Thanks. It can be if they aren't ridden very much. So basically what ends up happening is we oil all of them. So like if you can't see this, there's a little bit of oil on this thing. So all of these are oiled to protect from the environment when they get put into the mufflers and shipped out to bikes. Now what ends up happening is condensation builds up when you start a motorcycle. There is ambient humidity, there is water in the air. I'm sure you've started a bike and noticed it dripping out the back. Basically, that ambient humidity is going to go through, it's going to heat, it's going to create condensation, and then it's going to sit. So what ends up typically happening is that, oh, Mission comment on the post. Thank you, Mission. Lost my train of thought. So what ends up having to happen is water will condense in the exhaust and go out the back. If the water doesn't completely go out the back, if you don't go on a long enough ride, if it doesn't get hot enough, if you just start it and rev it and then turn it back off, then it will and can develop rust. The only thing I would recommend doing in that case is to pull the end cap and the baffle out, re-oil it, put it back. Giveaway question. Little Bird told me baffle for a blackout 2-to-1. I'm sorry, John, that Little Birdie is incorrect. D-Rock says, thanks again, you guys kill it. Freezing up here, so want some positive news. right? Everyone's freezing except for us in Southern California, which is why it costs an arm and a leg to live here. The riding weather, man, it's worth it. Going on a long trip, anything I should do to prepare the bike with the FuelPak app? Nah, dude, I wouldn't worry about it. Again, you can go ahead and check some stuff out as far as like if you want to log the trip itself, you can do that in the maintenance menu. But as far as the mapping, dude, I wouldn't stress about it. Where's Shane? Shane is like 100 feet through 3 walls that way. He's probably on the phone, actually. Can you change throttle response on an FP3 with a non-VIN number bike? I don't know what you mean. Oh, on a second bike? No, you can't, because that would have to flash the ECM. So the FP3 is only good for flashing one bike, and that is it. It is married to the ECU and the VIN combination. So once you flash anything, you can't take it off and flash another bike. Remapping the throttle response requires flashing a particular table. The primary throttle control table, the secondary throttle control table, throttle blade control table specifically, and then the switchover gear table, which tells it when to switch over from the primary to the secondary throttle control. So no, you cannot go ahead and tune the throttle on bike number 2. You would need a new FP3. Which follows the next question from FXDF. Moscow, hey from Russia. Is there a chance in the future FP3 can be unmarried using paid license or something similar? We have kicked that idea around. At the time, I think it's a one and done kind of thing, but it might change. You never know. Love the X got on my bike. Check out the page for my sick build. Raider Dad for life. Raider Dad, if you got some cool photos of that, go ahead and email them to sm@vancehines.com. 2 things. 1, we'll shoot you a trucker cap. And 2, we can, use the photo for social media. Dump truck, what's up, buddy? Adjustments for high flow injectors. Yep, we got that one. Sorry, guys, I'm probably super backlogged on Instagram questions, so we'll take a look here. Sorry if the internet failed. I don't know if my question was responded, Joner. I think I did get to that one. I think you're covered, buddy. Let's see. Best place to mount my FP3 permanently on a 1200 iron. So at a 1200 iron, I wish I had my Sportster in here. I don't. There's a gap. So, do I have a pen? Nope. It's going to draw something really poorly. So what ends up happening is you pull the side cover off your Sportster, right? You got the battery, and then you've got the body control module, and then your ECM is tucked around in front. There's a little gap about that big in between the body control module and the battery, and you can kind of just shove it right in there. The other alternative I've used is a piece of Velcro. Put a piece of Velcro on the battery, stick it to the battery, put your side cover on. Works great. Raider Dad said, what's the email again? Can I pin it? Yeah, let me type it since I'm kind of caught up on questions. VANCEANDH. Make sure I actually wrote this properly. sm@vancehines.com. Boom, there it is. So Raider Dad, go ahead, do that, and yeah. Ganesh Samantha, love from India. How you doing, bro? I'm good, man. Working on my coffee, having a lovely chat with all you fine people. Mark from YouTube asks, 2020 Street Glide. I got a T450s, Torque 450s. Uh-oh. Of course, I'm getting a phone call through the internet. No spammers, go away. Leave me alone. I'm online with people. Got stuff to do. All right, Torque 450s, power tool, Screaming Eagle air cleaner. I also bought the FP3 tuner. Will it walk me through the mapping with the V&H phone app? Yeah, it pretty much will. So what you'll need to do is you'll get connected to the bike through Bluetooth, whether on iOS or Android. If you're on Android, go straight to the FP3 app, click the top button. It'll find your unit. It'll say VIN hyphen the last 6 of your VIN. It'll pair through the app. Go to the main menu. If you have an iPhone, it's a little bit different. On the iPhone, you'll actually need to go ahead and go to your iPhone's system menu, select Bluetooth, connect to that same VIN hyphen last 6 year VIN unit there. And then what I do is I usually double click, minimize it, and I go to the FP3 app and then open it. Once you open the FP3 app, after you've connected in the system app, in the system menu, it'll prompt up, you'll get to that same main menu. So from the main menu on either device, the very top option says search for a map. Go ahead and press that. And then enter in, manufacturer, Vance Hines. And then find the one for you. You will want Torque 450 slip-ons with powered duals. And then go to the very bottom where it says results, click on the map and results, click either continue or flash, again, depending on iOS or Android, and flash in the bike. Easy peasy. When can we have FuelPak in Europe for the new HD Softail 114 2021 Euro 5? I don't know if we're going to have one that's Euro 5 compliant, to be honest there, Antonio. But I do know that's something we're looking at for getting mufflers and things of that nature taken care of. So hopefully we'll have hard parts soon as far as FP3. I mean, I'm still waiting to finish up 2021 project here. Again, we're working on it hard as humanly possible. The entire team pretty much. So that means hardware engineers, server engineers, app engineers, everybody. And then hopefully we can get something out to you guys soon. And pop back over to Instagram. Appreciate it. Thanks. I think I'll be on with Vance Hines Street Scrambler full exhaust system for my Street Twin. Such a great exhaust you guys make. Oh, thank you, man. Yeah, those Triumph exhausts are awesome. Really good look, super good tone. I am getting calls from spammers. Does anyone else get those? Just constant? It's awful. FuelPak in Europe. Yep, we got you. So I think that's it, guys. I think we've rolled for, God, 40 minutes? No way. That's awesome. It's one of the longest shows we've done. So 40 minutes. Again, if you guys can figure out what kind of baffle this is, Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, you will go ahead and we will ship you a V&H trucker cap. So thank you guys for joining us on another FuelPak Friday. And thank you. We'll see you guys next week.